Mike, thank you so much for joining us on Last Week Was a Drag. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know how are you feeling right now? The election is a week away and you're on the ballot.
On the ballot, yeah. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Mike Van Gorder. I'm running for Burbank City Council. I feel anxious. We are at the point where people are voting, and it's spicy. We've knocked on 14,000 doors. I've personally knocked on 3,000 doors. But at this point, we've done as much as can be done.
You've done the work. Yeah,
We've done that's so much work.
As a former candidate myself, I know that last week leading up to the election, you feel like, oh, there's got to be more I need to be doing, but you've put in the work.
Yeah, because you're in that sustained state of activity for so long. To get to that point where you're about to let go, it's so hard.
You know, what sort of changes do you want to see in your community?
So I'm running to create the kind of housing that one day my little girls can move into when they want to be independent, when they're old enough to move out. I want them to have a place, to have options in Burbank. And I'm running because our generation needs the next crop of leaders. We need people who are living with this economy right now, these economic conditions that we're dealing with. You talk to any millennial homeowner, at some point they'll use the word lucky. My wife and I were very, very lucky to have bought our home in Burbank in 2022. But as soon as we moved in, she got laid off. She was 7 months pregnant. It was terrifying. And I don't want anybody else to have to go through what I went through, the terror of moving out of a $1,400 rental and into a $5,000 mortgage and knowing that option's gone now. Working families need options. They need resources, and we're not creating the kind of things that are appropriate for working families. We are creating ADUs in people's backyards if they have $100,000 a piece to spend on that, or we're creating luxury apartment towers, 200 units at a time that rents for $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 a piece. That's not for working families. So we need someone like me with my professional acumen and my set of priorities to make that working class representation on city council.
I love that. I love hearing that, especially because, there's not even, we hear a lot about affordable housing, and there's just not, even affordable housing is not affordable to so many people.
Yeah.
And it's just really all contributing to the housing crisis in LA County. So you and I actually met at one of the Glendale School Board meetings. It was either this past summer or the summer before.
June 2023.
Yeah, and that was such a moment. I remember going to that meeting because I had heard that the Leave Our Kids Alone group was going to be there protesting. And if you recall, this was all about the Glendale School Board. They were just recognizing June as Pride Month. Yeah. And you saw this massive level of protest. It didn't feel appropriate for what the school board was actually doing, which was just going along with, state laws. And it was just really remarkable to me. So, given that Glendale is right next door to Burbank, I was curious to know how you foresee your role as a Burbank City Council member interfacing with local school districts to, include and protect LGBTQIA+ students, families, and faculty.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's worth pointing out first that, I went to that protest, which, there was the right-wing Leave Our Kids Alone group and the Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys were marching through Glendale.
Yeah, a stochastic terrorist group coming out to threaten people into silence and try to, force people back into the closet. And I knew that there were going to be a lot of people going that had, piercings in different hair colors and, people expressing themselves. And I wanted to express myself exactly like this and show the Proud Boys that even people that look just like you are diametrically opposed to your program. So I took handwrote a sign that said, "Protect and respect our LGBTQIA kids and educators," and stood on the Proud Boys side, just quietly disagreeing at them, because bullies don't pick on people their own size. But just to back up that it's not just those folks over there, it's us too. You are clearly in the wrong in this situation. And in terms of showing support to the LGBTQIA community, you just got I'm here to listen. I'm here to take my cues and to use my privilege as a masculine presenting cisgender straight white dude to defend my community. It's exactly what I was doing at that protest. It's what I will do moving forward in city council, is listen first and make sure that the people who feel threatened, such as they are given the priority. But let's be very clear here. There is no violence coming from the LGBTQIA community. There is only violence directed at the LGBTQIA community.
Absolutely. And that is the way to be an ally to the LGBTQIA community. So I personally thank you for that. So again, we are 1 week away from the election. People are already filling out their ballots. For anybody who may not have voted yet in Burbank, how would you describe your platform in a quick elevator pitch?
Yeah, so I'm the best person for the job. We're in a housing crisis, and I'm a professional housing policy analyst. We're in a democratic crisis where the right wing is trying to turn our public institutions into political agents for their agenda. And I'm a twice elected delegate to the state Democratic Party. I'm a fierce ally to the LGBTQIA community. My kids are in our public schools. The other one's a little too small. But the point is to get our kids to these beautiful public schools. I'm living a life like most young people, just trying to make it. I did everything I was supposed to. I got 2 degrees. I got married. I got a family. I bought a house. But I spent half my family's income on our housing. Spent a quarter of our family's income on our childcare so that my wife and I have the privilege of working full time to pay for all this stuff. We need leaders who are dealing with the worst of this economy. And I say that as someone with exceptional privilege, a homeowner. But these tools that previous generations had used to earn their own independence are no longer working the same way. Those tools that were like interracial with their economic violence, segregation, redlining, all this stuff to shore up the privilege of the incumbent white homeowners have now become intergenerational in their effects. So no more retirees on city council. No more lawyers. We need young people. We need that next crop of leaders who will be responsive to people's lived experience because they're experiencing it too.
Absolutely. And I think you bring up such a great point that, the housing crisis in LA, it really affects everybody. It affects, obviously, our most vulnerable communities, folks experiencing homelessness, folks who are being evicted, renters. But, you've just proved that, even homeowners are really struggling to maintain their housing, and something's got to be done. Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it, having you on. Last week was a drag. And for anybody watching, I am endorsing Mike Van Gorder. So if you live in Burbank, please vote yes on Mike.
Thanks very much. We appreciate you.
Of course.